What's going on, workforce? Brian here.
Chris here.
And I've recovered from that epic night. I was falling asleep during that last part of the live letter. But we'll do that here in a video for you guys, summarizing the live letter in just a little bit. But today, and in this video, we're going to be talking about Endwalker. Chris, holy freaking crap, dude. How epic is that? We're going to the moon. Yoshi P is backing GME. It's happening.
To the moon.
To the moon. Hold the line. Let's do this thing. So let's just take it point by point, line by line, give everybody the details. We'll save our opinions and feelings for maybe another video or podcast later this week. Go ahead.
Yeah, so basically, as expected, it started off with a trailer. It would not be shocking to see the future trailer get longer because obviously this is pre 5.5. We can get into that in a minute. Epic trailer. Didn't really tell us anything outside of we're like, oh my God, did we just see the new job? And it ends with the title Endwalker. So nice to see Endwalker be a name without an S or a B.
Yes.
And we revealed that we are going to be getting 2 new jobs with this expansion. The first of which is going to be a healer. It's going to be a sage. The second of which is melee, which will be revealed at a later date. We assume that May date as well. That healer breaks the healers into 2 parts.
Yes.
2 shield healers, 2 direct healers, and all you're going to need to do to unlock it starting at level 70 is go to Limsa and be level 70 plus and have purchased Endwalker.
Yes.
That's it. So everybody's got a level 70 healer now, so no excuse not to heal. If you're trying to run legacy content with people, and then the second portion of this will be in May, during the FanFest event, May 15th and 16th.
Yes.
We then talked about the changes to the way the story is formatted. You want to talk about what's different? How was story formatted, and then what are we doing moving forward?
So that's a great question. No spoilers here, guys, but just essentially
just the format
structure here. So typically, the story of an expansion concludes with the 0.3 patch. So we would get an expansion, 5.0, for example, and you would play, and that'd have its story beat, and then it essentially would conclude. There'd always be some thread, some threat, or something like that, still kind of a part of that overall story of the expansion, and that would conclude in the 0.3 patch, in which that 0.4 would basically start setting up the next expansion. So right now, we're in patch 5.4. That story is setting up Endwalker. So 5.5 will be the same. However, here this time, the big shift, and I don't know how to feel about it, we'll talk about that more later this week, is that 6.0 concludes the story, not just for the expansion, but for the entire Hydaelyn Zodiac arc, which is something like I think that we in Ethos, everybody's been theorizing that it needs to have a bookend so that it can preserve its legacy in terms of that. Think Breaking Bad, leave them wanting more. But that doesn't mean 14's ending. It means
Correct.
that whatever happens in 6.1 and beyond is starting a whole new adventure. And I'm hoping that means I'm not going to start speculating too much. Never mind. Yeah. So it's I'm very excited. I'm very hopeful to see what this ultimately means. But it is a big change in how they've got that is structuring. So at the core of it, I'm excited to see what they bring. And they did confirm Van Daniel is not the end boss. There is some big secrets out there. There is some stuff going on that we cannot wait to see what's happening. So I'm really excited to see, especially the conclusion of the Hydaelyn Zodiac, which is what I've been doing for the last 10 years. I think we all felt old on stream. Anyway.
Yes, they went over 10 years, and then the CEO actually came out and confirmed that Yoshi P is not going anywhere. He's going to stay in a leadership role. That doesn't mean he won't step back some. He showed his schedule a little bit in the live letter about what all he works on in a given week, and it's not all 14.
Yeah, that schedule looked insane. But yeah.
Yeah, it was every waking minute. So then from here we talk about features. We are going to Thavnaria, we're going to Garlemald, we're going to the moon. There's a very African style to Thavnaria. Garlemald is very high fantasy.
Yeah.
The moon, we didn't get to see much. They showed us the smaller of our 2 capital cities. We get 2 capital cities with each expansion. They showed us the smaller, which we've seen Ralgers, we've seen Yulmore, so we've seen these in the past. So we have a feeling for what that city will do for us feature wise.
Yeah.
And then they showed us our first beast tribe, which I don't remember their name. It started with an M.
Matagana, and I'm butchering the name. So
they're blue elephant people.
Blue elephant people, and so that's interesting to see. Like Julie saw that, she was watching downstairs, and she's like, "That's awesome!" She's really excited about the Matagana, and I apologize for butchering that. We've seen them slightly before as a part of like the treasure maps and the different elephant themed, kind of like iconery. These aren't elephants you ride; they are a beast tribe. They are sentient, so it's going to be interesting to see how we interact with them and how that plays with the story itself.
Trying to keep moving, trying to keep my reaction from slipping out. We now move into raids and dungeons.
Yes.
So they said we're getting new dungeons. That makes sense. They showed some concept art. There are a variety of styles. I think we've seen a variety of styles in the past, but this time, because the zones are so different, it really is going to put a lot of emphasis on that.
Yes.
And then we talk about the raid series being Pandemonium, being 100% original content to Final Fantasy XIV, which is a big change. And then the Alliance raid, they didn't confirm what we were doing, but that's original to Final Fantasy XIV as well.
That's not a guest creator. We've seen that the last two times. So they are focusing in on like the internal team. So Pandemonium, lower wise, like that could be hell. They showed this off. So this is, hopefully not too much a spoiler, but La Habrea's back. He's got half his mask. So the theory is like, is this outside of time?
La Habrea.
They did. Right.
It wasn't even a guess.
And with La Habrea being back as a part of the raid, which is a real important, both story-wise, but overall, especially with 6.0 concluding, we can only theorize and speculate what that means, where it's happening, when it's happening. Like, your guess is as good as mine. Let me know what you guys are thinking. Best guess in the comments below. Let's do it. Anyway, go ahead and continue, Chris.
So continuing down the feature list, we move to PvP changes. PvP is getting a lot of love. This is a big one. So first of all, they're removing role restrictions. That's honestly getting closer and closer to like what, just as totally anecdotal, Brian and I have found works within custom PvPs. Just making it, if you either have to lean into easier to get into or harder without getting too far into my opinion, from there they're moving to small man PvP content. So PvP has historically struggled in this game from not having enough people. They keep adding big epic modes, and then when it doesn't have enough people, nobody wants to wait, and so nobody wants to do it, and it cycles down until the content dies. And it requires Discord communities and stuff organizing to override that. And
they also went in and said that they're also making systems, not just gear rewards, but other rewards and things like that will hopefully play and feed that into it. So which
comes with 5.5.
Yeah, and I'm so thankful when they said role restrictions removal, like we said either do that or tell us what you need. Like, everything else in the PvE side of this game has always said, like, oh, looking for a healer, looking for a DPS. Like, either, like, and so they went with the role restrictions removal, which, honestly, I'm really excited to see. Hopefully this re-energizes the PvP community. And I know that they're small in this regards, but getting a match, being able to jump in and play, like, I hope that this is a success. I'm rooting for him on this one, personally speaking. Anyway, continue, Chris.
No, that's good. So the PvP will be a big change there. The first reward rolls out with 5.5. It's a new armor set. Looks awesome. 5.5 is going to be April 13th.
Yes.
So set your calendar aside for that. We're starting to get dates. So we know we'll get a second portion of the live letter. We've seen the first portion now. The second portion historically is about 2 weeks before, so kind of beginning of April. And then that 5.5 is going to have two major parts to it. So this video is mostly about that, but it's all part of this, and that'll be released at the end of May. So on May 15th, 16th, we'll have a second portion of 5.5, 5.55. And then we will go into 6.0 in fall of 2021. We don't have a date. We just know fall. They said they were bummed that COVID pushed it out of summer, but it sounded like they were kind of a little bit excited that it didn't end up being winter, because I think they were probably looking very fearfully at what happened to World of Warcraft and saying like,
oh no,
that's us. So they haven't given us a date yet, but they are saying fall. It's just a question of how loosely are they going to define the term fall.
It's important to note that the PS5 beta is also on patch 5.5. So April 13th, you're actually going to finally get your native PS5 client, faster loading times, better frame rate, 4K, for free. So it's like if you have a PS4 version, they're not going to have to charge you. You're not going to have to transfer a license. You just can go and download the PS5 beta client, and they'll take off the beta tag as soon as they make sure everything's stable.
And once it goes live for good, it will be a digital purchase only. So for PS5 players looking to get in or looking to move to that platform, it will not be a physical release. It will be a digital client only, and it will be a free upgrade for Final Fantasy IV people. That upgrade has been kind of tight on the phrasing. There hasn't been too many sentences yet. So all we can do is look back at how the PS4 client rolled out, which there was a 1-year period once the client went live for PS3 players to make that free upgrade in case they had not acquired a PS4, because historically when new consoles come out, they're hard to get a hold of. This generation is obviously proven to be no different. Trust system is next. They are adding Estinian to trust systems. We don't know if that means is that going to be available going backward compat? Is that forward compat? Are we bringing everybody from the current trust system forward? Are we bringing any levels, or we don't know. There is a second part to all of this coming out in May 15th, 16th. And so hopefully that will kind of elaborate on that, because it actually made me ask more questions, not less, to find this out. But they showed Estinian off, looked great. Just a screenshot, no gameplay.
They did say that there was going to be new duties and activities that you can take part in as a part of the trust system. As to what those mean, how that's going to be impacted, we don't know. And so we'll let you guys know as soon as we do. Most likely that information is going to be revealed upon all of us here in May, which will be exciting because we'll have 5.5, and then we'll be going into 5.5. So it could end up being a very exciting summer for 14 players.
This starts the hype season indeed. Then they talked about Golden Saucer. We are adding to Golden Saucer. So they said we are going to add something significant to Golden Saucer. It sounded like a Golden Saucer. And then they pulled chat. What do you guys think it is? And they laughed and pointed out Blitzball. They laughed and pointed out snowboarding, but then they laughed and pointed out Fall Guys. So they were clearly just kind of reading what was being spammed in the chats.
I did not catch that. I freaked out. I was like, Blitzball.
And so, he literally had thrown off his headphones and walked away before it kind of became clear. He wasn't saying Blitzball. He was reading Blitzball from the chat spam. So we don't really know. I think they wouldn't have played it up so much if they didn't think it was something we'd be excited about. So I doubt it's totally original content. I bet it's something this is where our fan service comes into play. Considering so much else of this is going to be original content, this seems like that fan service. We now talk about island sanctuaries. So getting closer to kind of talking about
Julie texted
side content.
And she was telling me this morning, she's like, this might be the content that I come back for, island sanctuaries. You got your minions, you got your minions. This seems so interesting. Not just limited to crafters and
farming,
gatherers.
Ranching.
Yeah.
All jobs will have access to it and something to do there.
Yeah, some of the memes are like crossover with Animal Crossing confirmed.
We don't know what it is. They only showed a slide and then talked, so there wasn't a big long explanation of this. So hopefully it's a system they can show off more. It's something they mentioned in the media tour to Shadowbringers that they wanted to add to the game loosely. They mentioned it in a couple of the interviews. So it's nice to see. A lot of this stuff is things that they mentioned in this build up to Shadowbringers. So just a constant reminder of how much development was delayed during that. Ishgard housing. So let's just talk about Ishgard in general real quick. So Ishgard restoration is not over. There is going to be a 5.55 section. We'll go over that more in the live letter portion of this, but basically it's moving to a celebratory content that will keep that content alive. In 6.0, we'll be able to visit that housing district as a result. There is going to be a new custom delivery thing within the Firmament added in 5.55, I assume. I don't know. Sometime in the 5.5 series. And then in 6.1, 6.1 is going to be a massive patch. 6.1, we are going to get Ishgard housing added. This will be a traditional ward style system. They're saying they'll add enough for everybody. Because it's a finite resource, I can tell you they won't. And it's not just a gil thing, but make sure you have your gil set aside. But also, make sure that your free company has tried to acquire a house elsewhere so that they can relocate. They did say they were excited to add it for the people who made this possible. They didn't say whether that meant people with titles are going to get any advantage over anybody else. So it's just a giant speculation game. I can guarantee feelings will be hurt around this. So just, we're getting Ishgard housing, but it's a finite resource. And whatever the number is, I promise the number of people who want one is larger. So somebody's not getting one.
If the island sanctuary gives us also the ability to kind of have a house and have those things
and all that,
that would be such a relief to the housing crisis, in my opinion. We'll see ultimately what that means.
It's the big valid complaint. If it had somewhere to show off housing items, which they constantly add to the game, and if it had somewhere to put Davnarian onions in a way that was bigger than just kind of having a room in your free company house. I think that would alleviate a lot of the people who just casually want to try having a house. But there's still going to be people shorted. But we're getting too far off in opinions here. Battle adjustments. This is big. Battle
big
adjustments.
Old number squish. How do you feel about that?
Stat squishes are
Yeah.
controversial. They did spend a lot of time explaining that it's just a squish. You are not getting weaker. They put in yellow text on the screen at some point. You're not getting weaker. You're not getting weaker. But then they turned around and said, if you're in undersized parties, so if a level 80 solo is trying to run a level 50 piece of content, they may not be so outlandishly more powerful. One of the examples they gave is instead of getting 5% stats for every level beyond level 50, you might only get 1%. So that total delta may shrink, but it's because they're trying to truncate the numbers. They said the largest boss in the game added with 5.55, which we haven't seen yet, will have 440 million experience. So it's just getting so big that the damage necessary to do to it. I know we're also seeing this with like Blue Mage and stuff. It's getting to the point where like it can literally cause errors and bugs. So it's just getting to the point where it's actually slowing the game down. It's making the flying text unbearable and unreadable. And so they're just trying to kind of just dial the numbers back, but they're going to dial back health pools and numbers. The goal is not to make you weaker, but you will, of course, be doing smaller numbers worth of damage. But strength is a relative term, right? If something has 10 health and you hit for 1, then that's pretty good. You're going to kill it in 10 hits. If something has 100 health and we scale you up to 10 damage, you're still killing it in 10 hits. And so I think they're going to be adjusting potencies and stuff across the board. But the goal with this change on itself is not to make you weaker. Now, keep in mind, there will also be battle changes where certain abilities may, even relative to that curve, be brought up and down because we are getting new abilities this time, which likely means that we're getting some pruned as well. And so there will be battle system changes in addition to this, totally separate from the scaling. As we move into this, and stats wise, we're getting rid of belts. That is going to free up 35 armory slots that currently have no impact on glamour. Those 35 spots are going to be split. 15 of them are going to primary weapons and 15 of them are going to rings. The remaining 5 they're just going to hold off onto right now. That keeps them from having to make the armory system bigger, adding new tabs and things like that, and that instead allows them to make sure any of you that have tried relics and skysteel tools and have a lot of jobs leveled, and especially any of you who have a lot of jobs at multiple level ranges, those are 2 armory tabs that have a lot of pain around them right now, and hopefully that'll alleviate that.
And don't delete your belts today. They'll just show up in the Calamity Scavenger, so like you'll have the ability to do what you will. And you've never seen
the only thing
them.
that'll be lost is if they have materia equipped to them. You will lose that when it goes to the Calamity Scavenger. So before 6.0, we may have a reminder in your what you need to do prior to 6.0. Go ahead and pull that materia off there if you want it. I mean, a single materia isn't worth that much, especially if it's not a level 8. But
it's about the it's
better
about
than
the
a poke in the
emotional.
eye.
It's about that emotional value. It's sentimental.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Real quick, I know we're talking about this, we're talking just about this, but as we talk about 6.1, I do want to say that's when we're getting our next ultimate. There will not be another ultimate this expansion. We can talk about that more in the live letter portion. That's where it was addressed because we expect it in 5.55. But keep in mind, we are not getting an ultimate this expansion, another one. They confirmed what the fight was and all that, so that's all to look forward to. It'll be a 6.0, but because it's 6.1 news, but we expected in 5.55, it ended up being mentioned in the live letter portion of this, along with a giant apology and explanation why. We'll get there, but I just want to note that that's one of the reasons I'm saying 6.1 is going to be a massive patch, because we already know for a fact it's getting an ultimate that was 70% completion development. I don't know what that percentage means when you start to say now it has to be dealt with for the fact that we're going to level 90.
Yeah.
I don't know. But on good news side, we are getting data center travel.
Yes. This is going to be really big for, I think, the community itself, as opposed to like whether you're playing with like us or you're playing with other people in the like from a content creator perspective, or you're just like, hey, like my friends on this server, you know, do I need to spend the money to transfer? But I already have people that I play with over here. Like you could just go pop over and play with them and do it like you can. It's similar to the world visit, but it's technically functionally different. So I'm thrilled by this aspect. I think this is going to be such a nice feature from a community perspective. Crack that can. Yeah.
So tired.
Yeah. 7 to 8 hours of content. Ooh, yesterday.
We shut stream down after 4 o'clock, 4 a.m. Final Fantasy shut stream down, and we stayed till the end.
Yeah. So at the core of it, like, I think that's really exciting to see. I think that's going to be one of those things. They're not worried about the economies. They've said that, like, even when they look at the world visit, people were afraid of the economies being completely wrecked, and the data shows that that's not the case. It's probably they're not worried. They'll run simulations, but they're not really worried about the data center. The economy's getting so thrown out of whack because of the nature of that. You're only purchasing. You're not going into another economy and selling. You're just going in and saying, oh, cool, I'm just going to buy. So it ends up just moving money around, and it ends up over time, equaling or evening itself out with enough transactions. Like I'm talking over a long period of time, but regardless, yeah.
Yes, and so you said it'll be feature restricted in that you have to log out and log in, and there will be limits on what we can do. So we don't know what that is, and those may get lifted over time as technical capabilities increase. We don't know if that's region locked, if it's just NA data centers to NA data centers, or if it's a worldwide visit system. We don't know. We have more questions than answers, but just the fact that cross data center has been a phrase that's been thrown around as a long wanted feature, just the fact that we're getting some semblance of that. Without getting too far into the weeds, it's big news.
Yeah,
it's big news, and
big
I think
news.
Brian and I will both have a pretty strong opinion on what that means for the future of this game. At this point, this is when they went over the PS5 upgrades and all of that, and actually said the PS5 version is coming for April 13th, and the CEO actually said at this point, which will be timed with patch 5.5, which they didn't have the date revealed for another several hours. They revealed the date during, so we got a leak by a few hours. The CEO he loves leaking things out that don't largely actually impact things. Gets a cheer, gets us excited for somebody we don't see very often. He wasn't dressed as a blue mage this time. He was dressed as a business mage, and so it was nice to see him show off his love for the game. And then they talked about the FanFest.
Mm-hmm.
So May 15th and 16th, totally digital, totally free, all streaming, including
The concert.
live concert, which is something historically that has not been shown for the stream. And one of the reasons for that is its rights ownership. Keep in mind, Square Enix does not exclusively own everything they do. They share ownership with other entities. It's most notable in projects like Kingdom Hearts.
Mm-hmm.
That's a very easy to see one. But just know that when they develop something anytime, especially because there's a lot of co-created things here where we have guest creators come in and help with raid series or music or literal collaborative things like Rathlos being in here, they are not exclusive rights holders to everything dealing with this theme park of a game. And so as a result, they don't necessarily have the right to leave things either A, live, but B, in a VOD style format, either uploaded to YouTube or left as VODs over on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
And so as a result, there will be segments of this FanFest that will not be left as VODs. So if you want to see it live, because that means that there will be sections, I assume the music, that they don't own, that they'll be showing things off, and those will be live and then taken down. Then for anybody that wants to support FanFest, they of course would love monetary support, and they actually said that they had already, just in their initial kind of revealing of this news, I guess in-house and all that, and then there in chat, they had already said had people say, but how do I give you money? Like, how do I thank you guys for this? I don't necessarily want this to be free. I want to support Square Enix through this event.
Mm-hmm.
FanFest may not be a profit driver, but I don't want it to be just loss. Let me tell you guys how much I appreciate you. He said, don't worry, we've created a way to do that.
Lunar Whale mount.
So Lunar Whale, 8-person mount.
Yes.
We don't have a price on it. 8-person Lunar Whale mount looks awesome. They showed off some of it. They also are giving 3 new minions.
Yeah.
I don't know if those will be sold as a collection as well.
I hope so. I just give me one checkout, like just one give me the full package.
Yeah,
I'm
$50 plus $10 plus $10 plus $10, and then $70 for the set.
Yeah, let's do it. Just bundle it and let's go. Because essentially, there's not multiple. Typically, the minions were rolled out by event, and so you would, if you bought a ticket to the digital or the FanFest, you'd get like the minion for that FanFest, and then they had the bigger version for the mount, which used to have with Finware. It's like you could either go to the event with a ticket, you got that, or you could purchase like that as a digital thing. So this is all digital. I'm in. I'm already sold on the Lunar Whale mount. I'm already sold on the minions, especially because of their connection to Final Fantasy IV.
We can get all 3 too, which for people that go to FanFest, you usually just get your one, like Brian said.
Yeah. So I'm thrilled by this. I'm really excited for the digital FanFest. I think that's obviously the best that they can do for this. That's going to lead us into patch 5.55. That's going to then take us through the summer. That's then going to lead into Edgewalker. And man,
Endwalker.
Edgewalker. I was thinking Edge from the Minion.
which somebody said End was in Guild Wars 2 next name. So maybe we're moving from shadows to ends.
Yeah.
Wow, your move.
And then Destiny,
your move, because Destiny also did touch the shadow. So other MMOs,
and
of course,
the moon.
always. So end and finale and words like that seem to be a theme. Maybe it's time for games that have long running story arcs. It's time for everybody to clean out their attics, right? Let's have a lore garage sale at 2021, and let's get out there and end some stuff.
Absolutely.
I think that's actually everything we went over. We just blasted through. Keep in mind, everything we just talked about was from 7:30 to 9. 9:30. So we just blasted through 2 hours worth of presentation that was nonstop talking. So we've obviously summed up a lot of things. There will also be a lot more gone over May 15th and May 16th that will come to be. And then with 5.5, you have to remember there's going to be a second live letter portion to that, as well as anything that kind of comes out with patch notes and all of that. So like there's a lot of information that starts the hype season between now and fall of 2021.
Yeah, so guys, let us know what you're thinking about all of this. We've got more videos, and especially we got to go do the live letter summary for you guys. So hopefully you either got some rest or hung out with us live. If you did, be sure, or if you don't know about us when we live stream, right now all the little avatars running around at the bottom of this video are for people who are lurking on our Twitch page. So Chris has been streaming from 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday. Go say hi to him. We are going to be talking a lot about Final Fantasy XIV this week. It's going to be really exciting. So for Work to Game, my name's Brian.
My name's Chris.
Thanks so much for watching. We hope to see you on our next one. But until then,
take care.